Hey, Motorman here, and this is a very serious subject. I've never discussed this before, but I want to warn you guys. I'm going to save your life right now, or at the very least your marriage. Never try to teach your wife how to ride a motorcycle. Don't do it. I know you're tempted to do it, but don't do it. It's going to cause you all kinds of problems. Plus, I am pretty sure that most people, unless you've mastered the 3 techniques I teach and are able to go through my course, you're probably not qualified to teach your wife. And even if you are good at running the course, that doesn't mean you're a good instructor. It doesn't mean you'll be able to spot mistakes and tell the rider exactly how to correct them, because that's the most important thing. If you could spot the mistakes, but you can't communicate to how to change that and what for that person to do to make it better, leave it to a professional. If she's a brand new rider, you want to take her to any one of the beginner courses, the Motorcycle Safety Foundation, or even better, the Harley-Davidson version of that. And I say that's better because, well, they put you on 500cc bikes instead of the little mini bikes that they use in the regular MSF course. And most people aren't going to go through, get their license, and then buy a mini bike. You'll get on a bigger bike, a middleweight, or whatever it may be. It'll be a whole different world. So you're better off taking the Harley-Davidson Rider's Edge course. But I'm going to explain to you how because people ask me this all the time, how did my wife get so good? Well, first of all, I trained her, but it wasn't easy. My wife had a pretty high fear level. In fact, she's always had a bad hip, so she was afraid that if she leaned the bike to the right a little bit too far, she had to put a foot down, it could dislocate her hip. It was all kinds of problems. Now, there's 2 kinds of motivation. There's positive motivation, like this.
Oh, listen, he's only a man. You can beat him because you're a tank, kid. You're a greasy, fast, 200-pound Italian tank.
And then there's negative motivation, like this.
Sir, I am hard, but I am fair. You little scumbag, you will not laugh, you will not cry. You will learn by the numbers. I will teach you. Now get up, get on your feet.
Both of those types of motivation work, but negative motivation, for the most part, works much faster. That's why they do it in the military. That's why the Marines are so tough. But you do not want to use negative motivation on your wife. I guarantee you, it's going to ruin your marriage. Don't do it. Just send her to the beginner course. But anyway, getting back to my wife and how I motivated her, because I knew I couldn't use the negative motivation. She's very sensitive. And as you know, as a man, we don't have the sensitivity gene, whatever you might call it. So I was very careful. I got it to a certain point where she could make 24-foot turns about 9 out of 10 times. Sometimes she would go a little wide, she'd knock a cone over, and I really wanted to get her to that top level. So at the time, this is 2006, we were making the Ride Like a Pro 4 right here. I'm going to show you this. And I had somebody tell me I wanted to get as many women as possible to ride in the video. So somebody told me down from Miami, said, I know this couple, Mary Ann and Tim Hamilton. They were trained by a motor officer. They're very good. They teach some of the HOG members the proper techniques, and I think they should be in the video. So I said, well, send them up. I'm open for that. So they came up to the first day we're starting to film, and I happened to have the motor officer course set up as well as the citizens version. And I meet Mary Ann. She's a lovely little thing, very much like my wife, about the same size, also had blonde hair. Husband also a very nice guy. And I said to her, you're pretty good at this stuff? She says, yes, I've been practicing. We practice every week. I said, perfect. Can you do the keyhole? Keyhole is an 18-foot circle with a 5-foot entrance. It's probably the most difficult of the motor officer section courses. She said, I think I could do it. Well, she pulls in, she does it perfectly to the left. I said, can you do it to the right? Well, she pulls in and does it to the right, which is much harder for most people. I said, great. From that point on, I demonstrated the exercises, and then I had Mary Ann demonstrate it, and then I let the other riders go through and we filmed them. But I used her specifically because she was a tiny little thing. She did it perfectly. She had no fear whatsoever, and it showed people that the size and strength of the rider has no bearing. It's all technique. Now it comes time after the filming to make the video cover. That's what you see right here. So a friend of mine sent it to me on a computer, and he sent a couple of different covers. And when I got to this one, my wife was standing behind me, Donna's standing behind me, I said, that's it, that's perfect. This is the cover that we need. Now, you may not know this, but the person on the yellow CVO as Mary Ann Hamilton is not my wife. And I specifically wanted to put her on the cover, first of all, because I featured her in the video, but second of all, it was what I called negative motivation. I knew, without saying a word, my wife would get kind of upset that she didn't make it to the cover of the video. And every day, my wife is the one who stuffs the envelopes and mails these out to you whenever you buy one of my videos. At this time, we were selling 60, 70 videos a day. So 60, 70 times a day, my wife had to see Marianne on the cover and not her. Well, they lasted for about 2 weeks. And then she comes to me one day, she says, I think we need to go out and do some practicing. And she never asked that before. Usually it was me pushing her into doing the practicing. But we went out, and she says, set up the U-turn, at 24 feet. So I did that, and she makes it easily. In fact, she had a foot to spare. Usually she was getting into the U-turn, she'd straighten the bars for a split second when the bike started to lean, and she'd put her 2 feet in the wrong direction, she'd knock over cone. But this time she did it perfectly. So then, after 3 or 4 tries through there and doing really good, she says, let's narrow it down to 20 feet. I think I could do 20 feet. So I said, okay, I'm not gonna argue with her. She does the 20 feet easily. And then after 3 or 4 times through the 20 foot, and I noticed she had a couple of feet to spare, I said, do you think you could do 18? I said, yeah, I believe it was, I told her this, I said, I believe Marianne did 18 feet. She said, I think I can do it. So I set up the 18 feet. She does it. She does it once, maybe had a couple inches to spare. And I said to her, well, this is a little bit of negative motivation. I said, once is dumb luck. Twice in a row would be skill. So she pulls in and she does it twice in a row, and she does it 3 times. She did it 5 times in a row that U-turn at 18 feet. From that point forward, she was a perfect rider. I had to demonstrate all the exercises every time we do the class because I knew she'd be perfect. But it was, and she later admitted that what it was having Marianne on the cover, it just motivated her. She said to herself, if she could do it, she's the same size, a couple of years younger, but no big deal. It's not size or strength. So she had a mental block all the while. For years, she had the ability to do those 18-foot turns, but it was in her mind thinking that she couldn't do it. So it's mind over matter. Like I said, this stuff, folks, is 90% mental, only 10% physical. So that's how my wife got so good. And till this day, Marianne and her husband, Tim, they run our class down in Miami. They've been in all our videos ever since, and they're great people. Marianne and my wife are great friends. And she tells her, that was, Marianne doesn't realize this, but she said, it was your picture on the cover of the video that motivated me to be the rider I am. So, that's how my wife got so good. But I'm telling you guys, don't try this, especially if you can't make a U-turn yourself, guys, on any 24-foot road. You shouldn't be, if you can't make that simple maneuver, you shouldn't be teaching anybody anything. Send it to a professional, send it to one of the beginner classes, and then get her out there practicing. Get one of my videos. The new video has only me on the cover, by the way. Get her this video, and then if she screws up, you could tell her you screwed up. And if she can't get mad at you, say, I'm just the messenger. It's this guy, it's the Motorman guy. He's the one who said you screwed this up. Anyway, this coming week is Biketoberfest in Daytona. I'm going to be over there on Friday. I think I'll stop at the racetrack probably about 11 in the morning. I'll go over to Main Street then, ride up and down Main Street a couple times, and then head over to Destination Daytona. If you see me in any one of these places, I'll look just like this. Got the hat on, got the Ride Like a Pro shirt, the big Ride Like a Pro on the back. You can't miss me. And I'll probably have some swag for you. So I'll see you in Daytona.